Good evening, Tony Dattino here doing my live with Tony on Wednesday evening. I can't believe it's January the 15th, and I'm wondering, God, was it long ago we had New Year's Eve and fireworks in the backyard here in the Disney World area? And anyway, it is. It's January 15th, and I'm picking up the New York Post here in Orlando yesterday. It comes into the Publix grocery store every day. And the follow-ups of some basketball games and St. John's University's team. I pick up the Tuesday, January 14th, Post. I always read the sports sections first. I'm always looking for the things that are going on with the New York sports teams. And then I flip towards the front of the page, front of the Post. Page 17 hits me. Bam! Page 17 headline. See if we can get this right. 2 dead. That's not what it hit me. Mental decline shock. Mental decline shock. And as you know, I've been working with the USA Memory Championship now for 25 plus years. We're doing work with the Memory Institute over at the YMCA here in Orlando, in the Dr. Phillips section. And here comes a mental decline. The mental decline issue comes popping along. It says dementia may hit 1 in 2 people. And I'm saying, wait a minute, they have not been saying that. That's not been published anywhere. And then you start to read this and say, wait a minute, here we go again, the science world telling us something a year or 2 ago, and this is one of the things that drives people crazy. It changes. And so people say, well, I'm going to just wait for the next change. Well, when you get this change, I don't know how much more you want to wait and whether you want to gamble on it, because if there's one thing I've learned in the 25 years of doing the Memory Championship, one of the things that worries and creates anxiety for people more than anything is losing their mental faculties. And yet, when you try to tell them, well, let's see if we can try to do some things to make a difference, you see them just run for the doors. And so, hey, give me an easy pill, let me find that. And when you find and follow the research on Alzheimer's and cognitive impairments, we haven't found the right pill yet. And so maybe there's some work we ought to be doing. But let me give you the update. Dementia may hit 1 in 2. Prior research suggested that up to 14% of men and 23% of women would get dementia at some point. So you think, well, 14% of men, that's 86%. Well, I'm going to be in the 86. But then when you say 23% of women and 77% are not going to get it, well, you know what? That's 3/4 maybe. But now comes a startling new discovery from the Langone, L-A-N-G-O-N-E. Langone? I don't know how to pronounce that. Anyway, Health Institute published, stated that dementia risk is actually 35% for men. Whoa, wait a minute. 35% from 14? And 48% for women? What's that? From 23? It's like doubled? After the age of 55, for an average of 42% of people, which is their point of may hit 1 and 2. And you say, whoa, wait a minute, this is a massive problem. Study results forecast a dramatic rise in the burden from dementia in the United States in the coming decades. 1 in 2 Americans are going to have some form of cognitive difficulties after the age of 55. They predict that the number of new cases will increase from 500,000 a year to 1 million. And you say, oh my goodness, what are we going to do about this? Can you use memory techniques? Can you exercise your brain? And we're seeing a lot of things talking about the fundamentals of how do you maintain mental health. The rise is attributed, listen to this. The rise is attributed to the aging population. The 58 million people will be over 65, as well as high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, unhealthy diets, sedentary lifestyles, and poor mental health conditions. Dementia, the progression of memory erosion, concentration and judgment, affects 6 million Americans and accounts for 100,000 deaths each year. Much of the risk will be shouldered by women, seniors 75 and older, and carriers of an APOE4 gene, which is the strongest known genetic factor. Previous research underestimated dementia risk because of inadequate documentation in health records, on death certificates, and the monitoring of early-stage dementia. The team analyzed 30 years of data from 16,000 participants, and the median age of dementia was 81, with 17% diagnosed before 75. The bad news is there's no cure, but early detection can give patients and caregivers time to plan for the future. Oh, that's great. We all know we're going to die, so what the heck? So I come back at this, and I consolidate the reading and the research that we've done for the last 25 years on the USA Memory Championship. And we find that there are some factors that may make a huge difference. One of which I've done on my Live with Tony broadcast over and over, and that's this whole business about social interaction. God, my goodness, when are we going to learn that we can be nice to people and we don't have to be crazy? And now we got what we call weirdos walking around, different kinds of people we become. So what our news media are doing is continue to promote more of the fear of meeting other people. Like there's a kook or there's a crazy. Now, I was thinking about that because there were a couple of people today in my doctor's office. I went for my orthopedic follow-up for my rotator cuff, and I had a couple of people in the elevator, and I usually would make a comment about something they were wearing or something nice. It wouldn't be something wearing in a bad way. Like a guy in the elevator had a Chicago White Sox hat on today. So I took a chance talking to him, big husky man. I figured he's not going to be afraid of me. I said, hey, you working for the Chicago White Sox or rooting for them? He says, not really. I root for the Houston Astros. And we had a great conversation coming down 3 floors in the elevator. And it was fun. He laughed as he got off. And I said, wow, at least I took a chance, and he didn't hit me. And got off the elevator with a smile and laughed back. And he says, next year it's the Astros. So what have we done with our social interaction skills in terms of the crazies and things that we hear and read and study and say, my God, how sad it is that we have people breaking into homes in Los Angeles during these wildfires. And you say, my goodness, if they're doing that, then the people in the middle of in fires and wildfires, what chance do we stand walking on the street and meeting somebody that wants to say hello to us or acknowledge a hat we may have on, a nice jacket we may have on? And so how do we build a skill in a time when we're conflicted by it that we know has a major benefit on our cognitive fitness and long-term mental health? And so it's not just, hey, we've got this decline. All right, we're going to have this decline, but what can we start to do about it? Well, we do know exercise is another factor. And we know that getting out and walking, 5 to 10 minutes after dinner each night, and not going into diabetes and not letting that blood sugar rise and stuff, and just taking a 5 to 10 minute walk. I mean, the pieces are all there. The science is helping us today uncover the secrets of things that we need to be doing. But are we doing them is really the question. Do we challenge ourselves? Do we just sit down every night and just watch TV, or do we challenge ourselves mentally in doing things that we know may be good? Ballroom dancing, right? We talked about mental challenges that are on our USA Maximum Memory Mastery online course. Are we learning new skills on how we can remember names and faces, how we can remember strings of numbers, especially today, right? What do? What would I do without MapQuest? My goodness, I might be driving around forever. And so we've kind of dumbed ourselves down to some level, and yet we need the skill to bring our challenges to our brain and get us to think, get us to focus, get us to do the things that are in a healthy lifestyle that benefit not just our hearts, but our overall physical bodies, but our mental capacities. So I say we're on the early stages of that. I see it every week on Mondays and Wednesdays at the YMCA here in the Dr. Phillips section in the Memory Institute that Michael Dottino and Catherine Hagen organize and teach to people in those early stages, and I see the difference that it makes in these people and how they look forward to it, and how they just welcome the opportunity to socialize, learn some new things, go through exercises, mentally as well as physically, that just is making a difference in their lives. And that is my Wednesday, January 15th. My God, Friday's the 17th already. Slow it down. My goodness gracious. And we'll see you on then.